if you want to see where they get this stuff and where it plays out, let us turn to our old friends at CNN. Don Lemon, who I think is the biggest race baiter in the country, who has a show of his own. Okay, I mean, and I'm not talking about YouTube shows. I'm sure there are people saying horrible things on YouTube, but this is insane. He plays some. He had an interview with LeBron James, and LeBron James. A couple of years ago, maybe a year ago, a couple of years ago, had somebody vandalize his home here in LA and wrote the N-word on his garage, I think. Obviously an act of criminality and just absolutely disgusting. We can all agree on this. So here's LeBron James talking about this, cut 4.
I don't know if I was hurt. I don't know if I was disappointed. It was so many different emotions. More importantly, it was the conversation that I had to have with my boys that hurt me. But at the same time, it also enlightened me. No matter how big you can become, no matter how successful you are, no matter what you do in the community, no matter what you do in your profession, being African American in America is always tough, and they always gonna let you know that you are the N-word, no matter who you are. And that was just a reset.
Now, I got to say, obviously, it's very upsetting that a guy of this level, I mean, a man of true excellence and hard work and who's just such an entertaining athlete should be attacked like that. It's disgusting. But to blame it on America is really going a little bit far. I mean, is that really true? Certainly I've been attacked for my race. I know Ben has been attacked viciously for his race. I think that there's racism in the world. And I simply think when you put the word America in front of everything, it always seems like we somehow are worse. A criminal got to his house. Criminals get to white people's house as well. Criminals say all kinds of terrible things and do all kinds of terrible things to people. It's the extrapolation, the generalization that I don't like. And then, of course, he blames it on Trump. This is cut number 3.
We are in a position right now in America, more importantly, where this race thing is taking over. Because I believe our president is kind of trying to divide us. But I think
kind of,
yeah, is not. I don't want to say kind of. He's dividing us, and what I noticed over the last few months that he's kind of used sport to kind of divide us, and that's something that I can't relate to because I know that sport was the first time I ever was around someone white. And I got an opportunity to see them and learn about them, and they got an opportunity to learn about me, and we became very good friends. And I was like, oh, wow, this is all because of sports. And sports has never been something that divides people. It's always been something that brings someone together.
Well, I agree with that, but I don't see why why is it Donald Trump that, is dividing people? I mean, wasn't it divisive when they stopped standing up for the flag? I mean, isn't that a generally accepted thing that we all stand up for the flag, that it's everybody's flag? I mean, this was my complaint about the NFL when they allowed players under their guise, standing there speaking essentially for the NFL, to diss the flag, was the very reason my black neighbor can come to me and say, I'm not being treated fairly, is because we understand as Americans what fairness means. It's as Americans that we come together. It's not, it's not the sport that brings us together. It's the ideas of America that bring us together. And if those ideas are being violated, it's not like you can't reach me if you say that. If you can tell me, oh, in my neighborhood the cops are doing such and so, and they're treating us unfairly. It's not like I'm not going to respond to that. But you're appealing to me under the flag, so don't diss the flag while you're doing it. That's the thing that brings us together. It's not the sport. I found this a little disappointing because I really admire LeBron James. I found, Hank Aaron, I don't know how many people remember Hank Aaron, a great, great baseball player for the Atlanta Braves, broke Babe Ruth's home run record. And he suffered some racism while he was doing it. It was way back in the day. And there were some people who didn't want a black man to get the home run record, but most of us were mesmerized. I mean, he was another one of these great, great athletes who just hammered those home runs day after day after day, had the greatest wrists I ever saw in baseball, greatest swing I ever saw. And then years later, I heard him interviewed, and he said he saved a box of all the racist letters he got. And I thought, really? Why didn't you save a box of all the cheers you got? I know negative things hit you harder than positive things, and I'm not blaming the guy for it. I just found it disappointing that he did so much to sort of bring people together with his achievement, that all he got out of it were these few people, these few knuckleheads who were hating on him, But Don Lemon is not good enough to be on television. He really isn't. He's not good enough at his job to be on television. He's a knucklehead, and he is indeed a race baiter. And he goes off and he says all these people who say that it's not so bad. Because, by the way, my problem with what LeBron said is that that the race division got worse under Obama because Obama used it to cover up his failures. Uh-oh, did I just make a joke about Obama on Facebook? Oh, my goodness gracious. Listen to the way Don Lemon sells this thing.
I know people watch and they say, why are you guys talking about race? You race baiting, we don't hear about it. It's not that bad. It is that bad. And stop saying that. Start examining yourself. Why don't you want to talk about it? Maybe I should be more open to talk about it. Maybe I should learn more about my neighbors of color or people who are not like me. What is it that I don't know? What is it that I'm not exposed to? What am I not learning? Rather than every single time saying there is no racism, it's all behind us, slavery was a long time ago. That's all really if you're watching at home and you're saying that.
And why is he cursing? Oh, I know why he's cursing, because when leftists curse, that's how you know to take them seriously, because if you just listen to their ideas, you'd think they were knuckleheads, But when they curse, they really mean it. So, look, first of all, it's not that bad. I know this because I've been alive for a long time. I remember when it was bad. I remember when it was that bad. It is not that bad. That said, I just want to add that I understand that the life of a black person in America may well be different than the life of a white person in America. It may be difficult, just like the life of a Jew, I think, is different than the life of a Christian in America. I've been both, and I can testify that, in fact, it is. It is different to be a Jew than it is to be white. And I get it. It's not that I think things are perfect. That's absurd. I just think it is not that bad if you're constantly bringing it up. You're the one who's opening the wound all the time. We have some responsibility. You know my feelings about this. You know my feelings about racism. It's not that I believe that man was made in the image of God. It's that man was made in the image of God. It has nothing to do with what I believe. It's just the truth. I mean, it's not just in the Bible. All nature proclaims that man is made in the image of God. When you hate on somebody for his race, you are slapping the image of God in the kisser. I mean, you are spitting on the image of God, which, go right ahead, just don't sit too close to me when you do it. But that, I truly believe that. And I think it is, whenever somebody starts whispering in your ear this crap genetic stuff, people who don't have PhDs in genetics start whispering this stuff into your ear about genetics or about IQ and all that stuff. Yeah, that is garbage. You should really read William McGurn in the Wall Street Journal has a piece about the Cardinal, Theodore McCarrick, who was just thrown out of the College of Cardinals because it came out that he molested an altar boy as well as another teen, and he was doing a lot of this terrible stuff. And he points out that when a priest does wrong, it gives credence to materialism. That just like the guy who was selling indulgences back in the 16th century gave power to Martin Luther to start the Reformation, but he was just a guy. He wasn't doing he wasn't doing official Catholic doctrine. Just like that, when these guys rape people, essentially, and when the church covers it up, it gives credence to the opposite side, the materialists who say that man is just Here, let me read it. He says, in our day, the battle is no longer between competing versions of Christianity. It's not even so much about God, though it's often characterized that way. The real fight has to do with who's right about the reality of the human person, those who posit him as but a physical combination of matter and energy, or those who believe him, as the 8th Psalm puts it, only a little lower than the angels. And the way people are treated has a lot to do with the way we think of them. So it is inherent, it is incumbent upon us to make sure that we're not racist, but it is not incumbent upon us to live by the standards of the left, that making a joke about Obama is racist. Crap. That being nervous about Muslims on planes is racist. That's garbage. It's not incumbent upon us to do that, that using a phrase that they don't like cotton picking mine, out of your cotton picking mine, that's racist. It is not incumbent upon us. It is incumbent upon us, yes, to make sure that our hearts are true and that we're not hateful, but it is not incumbent upon us to pay attention to their nonsense. If they set the rules, then all that means is they think their politics is anti-racist and ours is racist, and that is garbage.